Hello, how are you guys? This is Masood Sangzai. I'm going to write about sources and applications of EU law. I'm going to explain some very basic functions of EU law. In particular, in this video, I'm going to talk about sources and applications of EU law. So when it comes to the EU law, there are certain things that we all need to know about, which are the different forms of EU legislation. EU legislation comes in two different parts. There is primary sources of legislation, which are treaties, and secondary sources, which come in five different forms with regulations, directives, decisions, recommendations, and opinions. The supremacy of EU law is maintained by the parliamentary supremacy and dealing with inconsistent laws. So in one way, it talks about how the EU law is supreme and that the parliament in EU is more important than member state laws, and it deals with inconsistent laws. Other sources and applications of EU law are directly applicable, or that they are directly applicable and have direct effect. This is both horizontally and vertically. It has indirect effects to member states and the population of the member states, and it also can hold member states responsible for state liability and for non-implementation of what they are liable to implement within their states. So these are the different forms, sources, and applications of EU law. So the forms of EU law legislation are primary and secondary, and primary are treaties, secondary are regulations, directives, decisions, recommendations, and opinions. Supremacy of EU law are parliamentary supremacy and dealing with inconsistent laws. These laws are directly applicable and have direct effect both vertically and horizontally. They also have indirect effects and state liability, and states are liable for non-implementation. Thank you very much. I will continue in the next video and start with forms of EU legislation.